is Newslive on Viewer Television. I am Ikioma Ineji. We begin with the headlines. 6 chairmanship aspirants stepped down for Abdullahi Adamu. And Nigeria collaborates with the United Nations Refugee Commission to strengthen capacities. And on the foreign scene, Iraq fails again to elect new president. We'll begin with the APC convention as the coast is now clear for the emergence of Abdullahi Adamu as the next national chairman of the All Progressives Congress APC, as 6 chairmanship aspirants contesting against him all stepped down. Abdullahi Adamu is the candidate endorsed by President Muhammadu Buhari as the next APC national chairman. President Buhari had endorsed him after a series of meetings with APC governors. A letter signed on behalf of the aspirants by George Akume indicated that alignment with President Buhari's endorsement. Meanwhile, President Muhammadu Buhari has admonished Nigeria's anti-graft agency, the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, to avoid being used for politics or get dragged into personal disputes, urging focus on serving the nation to entrench good governance. The president, who spoke at the unveiling of the EFCC standard operating procedures, policies and manuals at the State House, advised leaders and all operatives of the commission to resist the temptation of being influenced by political actors for personal gains or to score political points. The president noted the excellent performance of the leadership of the EFCC in securing 2,220 convictions within 1 year and recovering over 152 billion naira and $385 million. President Muhammadu Buhari also commended the EFCC chairman, Abdulrasheed Bawa, for efforts to further institutionalize the commission by developing 26 standard operating procedures and 25 policies and manuals for the departments, units, and staff of the commission, while appreciating the support of the board, management, and staff. The president said the development of the standard demonstrates the commitment of his administration to the fight against corruption and the acceptance of transparency and willingness to be subjected to scrutiny against set standards by services. Meanwhile, the Gara of Donga, Savala Shimbura, has applauded a Donga State House of Assembly aspirant Nicodemus Ali for his efforts towards assisting the people of Donga. Speaking at his palace, Samval Shimbura described Nicodemus as a salient achiever. Our correspondent has more.
The Gara prayed God to grant Nicodemus victory at the end of the day so that he would continue his goodwill to the people. Leader of the delegation, Philibus Samvala, said they were in the palace to seek the fatherly blessing of the royal father to enable the aspirant excel. Philibus Samvala says based on the track record of the aspirant, he will do better if given the chance. He notes that the aspirant has assisted in no small measure the people of Donga, and if given the opportunity, the area will witness rapid development. In a remarks, campaign coordinator of Nicodemus Ali organization, Uten Thomas, said the organization has consulted with well-meaning people of the area and assured that Nicodemus Ali is accepted. Meanwhile, women leader of the organization, Jamaima Sokwa, said the aspirant has empowered a lot of women in the area, assuring that the women will stand by him.
Muna fata in Allah ya kai shi babban seat yayi wanda ya fi wannan, kuma mun je wajen sarki ya rike mu hannu biyu, kuma mun mishi tariya mai kyau inda ya kamata.
On his part, Nicodemus Ali said he will not do without the fatherly blessings of the royal father, who he described as his role model. Ali said he will do more for the people of Donga if given the chance to them as a lawmaker.
The royal father receive me and bless me. And by the grace of God, I will be the next member of Donga local government or empower the youth. Two, as you can see, Donga is one of the least developed local government in the state. I think I will make sure many facilities will put at that my local government headquarters.
Linda Guana, Viwa TV News Jalingo.
Well, still in Taraba State, Governor Darius Ishaku has asked youths to entrench truth, hard work, and honesty in all their dealings. The governor said this when he presented a certificate of return to the newly elected executives of the Taraba State Youth Council of Nigeria at the Government House in Jalingo. The report.
Darius Ishaku stated that his administration will always help youth in developing their potentials and channeling their enthusiasm into development. The Taraba State Youth Council of Nigeria, according to Governor Darius Ishaku, is a necessity, especially in light of the next election in 2023. The governor expressed his delight at the amount of young people who have been trained and employed in the state and are now working as employers. He offered to furnish the new TYCN executives with a vehicle and lodging.
As a government, we recognize that our youth, our future leaders, must be guided in that direction of the truth, hard work, patriotism, and honesty. However, this can only happen if the government provides the necessary legal framework, which is why I sponsored the executive bill to the Honorable House of Assembly in Taraba State, which was swiftly passed and signed into law on October 28, 2021.
Permanent Secretary, Minister of Youth and Sports, Aboki Philip, commented, "Youth are the spearhead of growth in the society." He stated that the Ministry of Youth and Sports was swift to organize a free, fair, and credible election after Governor Darius Ishaku signed the bill establishing the TYCN.
Your Excellency, sir, the Ministry of Youth and Sports Development have successfully conducted a free and fair election into the various offices of the State Council and wish to formally hand them over to you for your fatherly blessing.
He asked the state governor to supply the TYCN with office space and 4 Hilux cars so that it could work efficiently throughout the state. Hukun Atoshi, the chairman of the Taraba State Youth Council of Nigeria, had earlier stated that the organization will be driving a revolution in the youth movement, allowing youth to achieve their proper place in accordance with government programs and policies. The TYCN leadership, according to the youth leader, is focused on bringing youth from the state's 16 local government areas, including the 2 special development regions, through awareness, sensitization, and enlightenment. He emphasized that TYCN, the state's apex youth body, is ready to collaborate and partner with any legitimate young organization that will contribute to the progress of the state and humanity through its program. Chairman of the TYCN acknowledged the vital role played by Governor Darius Ishaku, who is the highest employer of youth in the history of the state, for establishing the TYCN. You can also thank State Deputy Governor Haruna Manu, State House of Assembly Speaker Professor Joseph Albasu Kunini, Chief of Staff Government House Administration Haruna Stephen Bana, Secretary to the State Government Anthony Jellison, Commissioner of Youth and Sports Ibrahim Iman, and others for their fatherly advice.
Today we have begun our operation and given a mandate to build a credible youth voice in Taraba State. TYCN will be leading a revolution in the youth movement in Taraba State, where youth will realize their place and work in line with the government policies and programs to achieve a Taraba State of our dreams.
High point of the function was a symbolic presentation of certificates of return to the new executives by Governor Darius Ishaku. Linda Guana, Viwa TV News, Dalingo.
And moving on to Borno State, the Borno State Police Command has debunked rumors that it will join the strike over non-payment of salaries. The State Commissioner of Police, Abdul Umar, disclosed this during a press briefing in Maiduguri. He said his men and formation are loyal to the command and it's not planning any mutiny. The police chief warned officers against sharing intelligence information on social media, adding that the Inspector General of Police has already made provisions of kits and arms for the command. He further expressed confidence that the IG is pursuing better welfare for the police force and urged the public and media to track the development.
There was an increase in police salary. Within this 3-4 years, and the increase, we receive it. But after receiving it, there are a lot of complaints that is just like Oliver Twist. And we twisted, and there's an increase. The formula they are going to adopt, we don't know. There's media policy now in the Nigerian police, which regulates our conduct and our activities. So I think I came with it and I've circulated, and the policemen are fully aware of their limits. Because there are some designated officers who run our media platforms. It is only through them that we are able to send our signals, our chat, and the rest of it. So there's a policy which is a very positive achievement because it brought about high level of discipline in the force.
When Newslive returns, INEC's deregistration of 22 parties stands, says the Supreme Court. Details of this and more comes to you shortly after the break. Do stay tuned.
Working in viewer television as a news anchor has been a wonderful experience, and it just continues to get better and better for me. It's a wonderful experience. All the team, we make sure that we come together, we put our head together, and make sure that news is delivered on time. My favorite news time is the primetime news that comes 8 p.m. where we have news reports from all over the world pulled together for your own consumption. It's really taxing, but it's very enjoyable. And I must say, you should keep watching viewer television right here on Startimes platform, channel 191.
Okay, welcome back. And if you're just joining us, this is Newslive and View Television. A quick recap of our top stories. 6 chairmanship aspirants stepped down for Abdullahi Adamu. And Nigeria collaborates with the United Nations Refugee Commissions to strengthen capacity. Plus, Iraq fails again to elect new president. Now, the National Commission for Refugees, Migrants and Internally Displaced Persons in Nigeria says effective collaboration in the humanitarian space is key to a successful strategy in addressing humanitarian issues. Federal Commissioner Iman Suleiman Ibrahim stated this in Abuja at a 2-day joint retreat for staff of the Commission and UNHCR. She says the retreat was organized by the two agencies to give room for deliberation on matters that will foster the partnership. Ibrahim Suleiman noted that the retreat also afforded the partner organizations to improve on their understanding of Northeast crisis and Cameroon refugee response, as well as of tools and approaches for effective delivery of protection program and supply components of operations, among others. Meanwhile, the UNHCR representative to Nigeria, Chancellor Kapaya, said the retreat was a new beginning between the new agencies in finding a common ground to enhance protection for all persons of concern. The Supreme Court in Abuja upheld the registration of 22 political parties carried out by the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC. The parties were among the 74 scrapped in 2020 by INEC following their dismal performances in the previous elections, delivering judgment in an appeal instituted by INEC against the judgment of the Court of Appeal. Justice Ejembi voided and set aside a judgment of the Court of Appeal, Abuja Division, which had nullified the deregistration. Justice Eko held that the Court of Appeal on its own raised the issue of lack of fair hearing in favor of the 22 scrapped parties and arrived at a conclusion without hearing from other parties on the matter. The Apex Court also held that the Court of Appeal took the issue of fair hearing out of the contemplations of the notice of appeal filed by the political party, but refused to do the needful in order to be fair to others in the matter. INEC had on February 6, 2020, deregistered 74 political parties for failing to win any political office in the last general elections. And the Nigeria Union of Pensioners has vowed not to vote any government or governor owing to its members' pension and gratuities. The Union of Pensioners in the Southwest Zone said the governors owed pensioners trillions of naira in each respective state. The public relations officer of the union, Olusegun Abaton, relayed their decision to newsmen in Abeokuta, Ogun State at the end of the union's quarterly meeting. He said that the pensioners in the southwest zone of the country were not well taken care of, adding that it was important to vote for credible and compassionate leaders who would understand and address the plight of the pensioners. The union spokesperson, who lamented ill treatment of the pensioners, identified the need to restructure and establish the Ministry of Elders Affairs, just like the Ministry of Sport and Youth Development, as well as the Ministry of Women Affairs. And the data from the National Bureau of Statistics have shown that Nigeria generated a total of 2.03 trillion from value-added tax collections in 2021. The revenue generated from VAT in 2021 represents an increase of 530 billion naira when compared to 1.53 trillion generated in 2020. According to a report released by the NBS, the country earned 563.72 billion naira from VAT in Q4, showing a growth of 12.63% quarter-on-quarter. However, on a year-on-year basis, VAT collection in Q4 2021 increased by 23.98% from Q4 2020, the report added. Nevertheless, the NBS added that non-import VAT local was 224.85 billion naira and non-import foreign VAT amounted to 171.66 billion naira, while NCS import VAT stood at 99.8 billion naira. and foreign direct investment into Nigeria fell by $331.2 million to $698.78 million in 2021 from the total sum of $1.03 billion recorded in 2020. Figures from the National Bureau of Statistics have revealed. The NBS report titled Nigeria Capital Importation Q4 showed that equities investment of the FDI totaled $692.58 million, while other capital was put at $6.2 million. Nigeria recorded $154.6 million, $7.97 million, $107 million during the first, second, third, and fourth quarters of 2021, respectively. The report revealed that portfolio investment in the country fell by 1.75 million to 3.39 billion in 2021. It also showed that other investment fell by $890 million from 351 trillion in 2020. The NBS report says the total value of capital importation into Nigeria in the fourth quarter of 2021 stood at 2.19 billion naira, $19 billion, I beg your pardon, from $1.73 billion in the preceding quarter, indicating an increase of 26.35%. And on the international scene, relatives and collaborators of former Malian Prime Minister Soumaïlou Boubèye Maïga who died on the 21st of March at age 67, met in Bamako to pay tribute to the late PM, who was laid to rest in Bozola Cemetery. To bid farewell to Mali's former minister, a large crowd was gathered at the gates of the cemetery in Bamako. People rushed to the graveyard for the funeral ceremony of the former prime minister, who died in custody at a hospital on Monday. Relatives, a generation of political allies and former ministers attended the ceremony just one day after Maiga's family recovered his remains from the Malian authorities. The political figure died aged 67 in a clinic where he was surrounded by guards as he was held on suspicion of corruption. Maiga was appointed prime minister by late President Ibrahim Boubacar Keïta, but he resigned 2 years later. Now, Ethiopian government has announced an immediate end to its 16-month-long civil war to give way for unimpeded relief supplies into the war-ravaged Tigray region. The governor called on Tigray's forces to reciprocate the truce for humanitarian situation to improve in the region. In the same vein, fighters loyal to Tigray's fugitive leaders are expected to desist from all acts of further aggression. It is not clear if the immediate humanitarian truce is a step forward toward a comprehensive ceasefire. However, Ethiopia's government has faced growing international pressure to ease restriction on the flow of humanitarian aid to Tigray. The Tigray region has since November 2020 seen months of political tensions between Ethiopian Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed's government and the Tigray's leaders who once dominated Ethiopia's government. The war is believed to have caused the death of tens of thousands of people and the displacement of millions. Although the war has subsided in several places, notably within the Tigray and Amhara regions, concerns remain in the northeastern Afar region. Now, Iraqi lawmakers failed again on Saturday to elect a new president due to the lack of a quorum in parliament, keeping the country mired in political paralysis. Parliament had issued a final list of 40 candidates for the post, a largely ceremonial role that, by convention, is reserved for a member of Iraqi's Kurdish minority. The contest pits Barman Saleh, the incumbent, and a member of the Patriotic Union of Kurdistan against Reba Ahmed of the Kurdistan Democratic Party and the PUK's rival. But the lack of a quorum, set at 2/3 of the House, 329 members held up the vote for the second time since February, deepening war-scarred Iraq's political uncertainty. Only 202 lawmakers showed up for the latest vote, a parliamentary official disclosed on condition of anonymity, and a new session had to be rescheduled for Wednesday. Now, following the session, Parliament Speaker Mohammed Al-Habousi said the lack of a quorum forces them to continue holding sessions until it is achieved. The postponement exacerbates Iraq's political problems because it is the task of the president to formally name a prime minister. Now, the Ukraine President Zelensky told the Doha Forum on Saturday that Russia's bragging about its nuclear weapons is fueling a dangerous arms race. Zelensky also called on Qatar, which organizes the annual meeting of international and political business leaders, to increase production of natural gas to counter Russian efforts to use energy as a weapon. European nations have vowed to wean themselves off Russian oil and gas and have already turned to Qatar for alternative supplies.
А також страхом застосування ядерної зброї, страхом, який Росія спеціально постійно поширює, хизуючись тим, що може знищити ядерною зброєю не тільки той чи інший народ, але й взагалі життя на землі.
Meanwhile, a Colombian artist in Cali has painted portraits and murals using human blood so that there is no more blood is spilled in Colombia by wars, using the blood donated by 5 young people and diluted in a pigment to prevent it from oxidizing and to remain on the wall. Castillo painted a portrait of Ren Perez, whose songs are chanted during protests. Puerto Rican singer resident and Dove of Peace on an old wall tank which did not work because it was poorly built and ended up being converted into a garbage dump. Castillo began in 2019 with a large mural of an eagle in the municipality of Ronaldanilo in the Ville del Cauca department. He started with more commonplace materials such as pencils and made murals, including one that adorns the facade of the Oasis Hotel in Ronaldanilo, for which he won the Guinness World Record. But he likes the experience of working with unusual materials.
Sino es un arte nuevo, ¿sí? Y también invitar a no derramar más sangre en las guerras ni en la violencia urbana, sino en estos momentos derramamos sangre por arte y cultura.
And that's all on Newslive. But before we go, a quick recap of our top stories. 6 chairmanship aspirants stepped down for Adamu. And Nigeria collaborates with UN refugee commissions to strengthen capacity. And Iraq fails again to elect new president. Many thanks for watching. I am Akia Maineji. Please stay tuned for the rest of our programs. Good night.